I'm Bryan Comer.
I'm Desi Tobias with the law firm of Tobias, McCormick & Comer.
We're here today to talk about and Desi, you're the perfect person to talk about this. You've been practicing since what, 1987?
Correct.
And you've tried countless cases. I've been fortunate to try one with you. And tell the folks, what is also sometimes called underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage?
Yes, uninsured motorist coverage is something that's been important in my practice. It's important to all the motorists that are out there. I've written papers on it if you want to go to our website to read about it. But back in the 70s, the legislature passed a statute which mandates that uninsured motorist coverage goes into every policy of insurance, automobile insurance that's issued to a vehicle garaged in this state. And unless it's specifically rejected in writing, that coverage has to comply with what the Alabama legislature says in the uninsured motorist statute. And that's very important. An insurance company is not allowed to exclude it away. They're not allowed to limit it beyond what the statute provides for. And what's very critical about it is that if someone hits you, either you know the person who they are, it's a phantom vehicle that runs away, that adds coverage to whatever they may have. It may be nothing, but you can control that situation by obtaining uninsured motorist coverage of your own that applies to your bodily injuries caused by this other motorist.
That's right, and you bring up a good point. I mean, that's how before we did this video, when we were talking, it seems that several calls here recently to us have been from people who don't have it, who have specifically rejected it. Do you have any insight as to why folks could reject it?
Well, people often think that it's something I don't need. Sometimes you'll hear, why should I give somebody else coverage? Mm-hmm. Or why do I need that? But you never know what's going to happen out there. You never know who's going to hit you. The minimum limits for liability in Alabama are $25,000. Right. The other driver could be fully insured or insured per the law and have nothing in the event of a significant loss of yours. So it's very important to have it. It's also a cheap coverage. It's not that expensive considering what you're able to obtain. It's much less than a collision coverage that you would have for property damage of your vehicle or something like that. So don't let the insurance company tell you not to get it. It's something that you need, and get as much as you possibly can.
That's right, and you hit on a very good point. People can't control who hit them. And the folks where they're in a wreck and it's been no fault of their own, whether it's like you mentioned, the case we tried with a phantom vehicle where a vehicle causes a wreck and then flees the scene and you don't know who it is, or you do know who it is and there's no coverage. Well, if the injury's bad, if the wreck is bad, and you don't have the uninsured motorist coverage, you could just be out of luck.
That's correct. And again, going back to the statute and how favorable it is, a lot of the surrounding states have eroded the uninsured motorist statute, but the legislature here has not done that. So there has to be coverage per the law if you accept uninsured motorist coverage for somebody like a phantom vehicle who, in the case that we tried, they forced a guy off the road. He flew from his vehicle. His clothes were found in the air. We never knew who that was who forced him off the road, but we were able to go through a trial and obtain a significant recovery for him because he had uninsured motorist coverage.
That's right. And one thing, it took me a few years of practicing before I fully understood it. And not your level. I mean, you've written about it, like you said, on our website, tmclawyers.com. But it's unique in that whatever the coverage is, it stacks, right?
That's correct.
Tell us about that.
And that's something that is also very cost effective. And the law provides that if you have a policy of insurance and you have more than one vehicle on the policy, you can stack up to 3 coverages. So for instance, if you have $100,000 of uninsured motorist coverage, but 3 vehicles on your policy, it will stack as far as up to 3 vehicles. So you would have $300,000. And that's something a lot of people don't realize, but it shows how beneficial this law is and how cost effective it can be if you choose to obtain it.
Yeah, and not only that, the way if you're sitting at home watching this or have access to your insurance information, there's a really easy way to determine how much you have. Every policy has a declarations page, and on that declarations page, it lists what the coverages are. And so if you go to your policy and look for, it sometimes is either written as uninsured, underinsured, or UIM for short. It's not only expressed, and like you said, with $100,000, but that's usually the per person limit. And so you'll see a number and then a slash and then another number. And could you explain the difference in that?
Well,
per person and per accident.
And what's interesting is how broad it is. There's uninsured motorist coverage, and that would apply if the other driver has no coverage. But underinsured motorist coverage, say he only has $25,000, you put that coverage on top of whatever that other person has. So it's not just for the totally uninsured, it's when they're underinsured for the losses that you've sustained. But you'll see the U, or you'll see UM, usually it's under what they call the U coverage, and you'll see to the side of it a limit. And if it's $25,000, you need more. Generally, all the carriers will offer at least $100,000. You should obtain that or more if possible. And I often see premium amounts of less than $100 for UM coverage. And the insurance companies often say, buy only what you need. This is something that you need.
Right.
And for that kind of a cost, you should pay that premium dollar to obtain that coverage.
And when you break it down too, when you say $100, that's $100 for the policy period.
Correct.
And so you start breaking that down, it can be $6 to $10 a month. And not only is it like using the $100,000 example with the stacking, if you had three, usually it's written as $100,000 per person, and then with $300,000 per accident. And so then when you stack those on top of each other, that's $300,000 per person, $900,000 per accident.
Yeah, the 100, 300 means that if you're in a car with two family members, that those are the limits. It's a per person limit of 100,000. And then if it's 100, 300, the other two people who are with you, or the other five people or whatever, will be able to obtain the additional limits per the larger number.
That's right. And particularly with healthcare costs rising like they are, it's very, very important to make sure that you can purchase as much as you need of UM coverage. Desi, thanks for all you do on this topic and just in your practice. I enjoy practicing with you. If you want to find out more information, you can check us out on the web at tmclawyers.com. And I believe all your articles on this topic are there, as well as some of the cases that we've tried, including the one involving UM coverage.
All right. Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you.